As for what other people have said on radio, it cannot be part of our votes and proceedings.
Well, I take it that the word ruling has been used loosely because the votes and proceedings are very clear. They refer to what happened that day as formal communications. On both instances, it's captured there as formal communications. But what is generally understood by many, particularly the public, is ruling. And so we are all caught up. Even I have fallen a number of times into that trap, and I've used it a number of times. So it's not a formal ruling, but just communication to the House. And I think that the former majority leader was drawing our attention to it. But Honorable Mama Yarga is right. We are correcting the votes and proceedings of the House, and there's nothing referred there to ruling. It's just information to members. It's a formal communication. Yes, Member of Parliament for Domi Kwabinya.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, also to take you back to the vote and proceedings, which you've already cleared, but I just want to draw your attention to something on page 14 about the Committee on Employment, Labor Relations and Pensions. Honorable Comfort Doyo originally is not a member of the committee, but the matter that we were considering was bothering in her, or was happening in her constituency. And I remember that every time that we met, she made herself available. So if it can be captured as in attendance, at least it would capture the true reflection of what happened on that day. She's always been part of our meetings as the Member of Parliament in the Addo area where the electoral chair issue occurred. Not as a member of the committee, but as the sitting Member of Parliament who has shown concern. Thank you.
The table office kindly take note. Anyway, let's now look at the official report, starting with the one on 5th July 2024, which is a Friday. The proceedings of that day has been captured verbatim in the official report. Any corrections? Honorable members. Yes, please. You don't have copies?
No, right, Mr. Speaker. Yes, please. We don't have copies.
What about the 9th, 10th, and 11th July? These are all none. Then we'll have to take it another day. Please, table office, take note of that and get copies across to members. Honorable members, we move to the next item. Business statement. Chairman, Business Committee.
Right, Honorable Speaker, with respect, I shall proceed with a business statement for the week ending 20th of December 2024. Mr. Speaker, the Business Committee met and agreed on the business for the week. Same has been captured by a 9-page document signed by my very self and attached to this report. Mr. Speaker, per what we have, we expect to not only end on Friday, but Mr. Speaker, if you would permit, we may have to add Saturday to the sitting so that we could adjourn for the Christmas and then come back. Mr. Speaker, all these that have been proposed are conditioned on resolving some critical outstanding matters, particularly statutory payment and other matters that members expect action on. I expect the whips to take this matter up, the majority and the minority whips to take the outstanding statutory payment matters up so that it will pave the way for us to have a smooth deliberation for the week. The Speaker, the report has been circulated to all members, and I shall proceed to resume my seat and let's invite comment from members so that we bring a finality to the program for the week. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, honorable members, we take it that the business report has been presented. Any comments? Yes, Honorable Haruna Idrisu.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to make a comment on the business statement presented by the leader of government business. And Mr. Speaker, one thought that the leader would take a cue from your guidance. There are major developments in the country, and therefore, as a house, Mr. Speaker, one of the most important business this house should preoccupy itself with is the expenditure in advance of appropriation for January to March 2025. Arguably, Mr. Speaker, because the new government, which will assume the powers of government from 7th January, will have to put its act together in order to get a budget before the reconstituted parliament on midnight of 6th to 7th January. Therefore, what we are expected to do is to know, one, how the workers of this country will be taken care of in respect of compensation. Then, if there are interest payment commitments on loans in order that the country does not stand in default, that would also be addressed. So, Mr. Speaker, whilst you are giving your comments, I'm not sure the leader was listening. So that is major business. As for wanting to commit the new administration to some of the policy guidance, Mr. Speaker, we note that this government has a mandate until midnight of 6th January. But cautiously, they should be guided that they are not committing the incoming administration to some fiscal and budget constraints with some of the decisions they want to make. So he should, as you guided, Mr. Speaker, some of it that he wants to, some of the business he wants to take, even though he says that he wants understanding and consensus, he should be guided and prioritize government business. Our first major business should be the expenditure in advance of appropriation. That this house must concern itself with. The other business can wait. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Blackwell.
grateful, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, the list of priorities for this meeting, the Speaker, I want to respectfully appeal to you. As you read through your list of priorities, I was hoping to hear that we will include work on the constitutional amendment bill on the dual citizenship matter. Because, Mr. Speaker, I thought that we had come very far on that, but I didn't hear you speak to that matter, and it also doesn't find expression here in the business statement. So, Mr. Speaker, if you can probably avert your mind to that. Then, Mr. Speaker, the second issue that I want to raise relates to the tall list of tax waivers that the majority leader continues to present to this House in business statements. Mr. Speaker, we have stated our position on this matter. And considering the fact that all of these matters have been voted against and rejected by the Ghanaian people, why is the majority leader still putting it in the business statement and wanting to get us to work on these matters, which are so unpopular? A tall list, over 40 tax waivers, Mr. Speaker, and this will have serious fiscal implications for the next government. I mean, why do you want to saddle the next government with these huge revenue losses when you have been roundly rejected at the polls? And this is a government talking about coming to cut down obnoxious and nuisance taxes. And then you are creating more fiscal liabilities for us. So, Mr. Speaker, we want to serve notice that these tax waivers, we are not going to support them. So, please listen to the Right Honourable Speaker's list of priorities, particularly the budget for the first 3 months of next year. As for tax waivers, we cannot support you. Honourable Afenyo-Make, we cannot support you. So you need to really get this out of the business statement. I'm grateful, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Chairman. Yes, Honorable Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh. Opoku-Prempeh, yes.
It's not hyphenated.
It's not.
It's not.
Only the Napo is together.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I thought the minority leader and the majority leader had come to an understanding as far as government business that we can pursue this session that we are undergoing. Just to get up and say that Ghanaians have totally rejected MPP and all his bills and all his encumbrances is a very, very unfair statement, Mr. Speaker. It's a very, very unfair statement in the sense that there are other things that have been programmed that I think that we shouldn't even bother to do. Why should we at this time take up any bill, whether it is environmental bill or social bill? I think the new government then should come and start, because we are resetting. And I agree, Ghanaians voted for resetting. So, Mr. Speaker, let's probably, the only thing we have to do is to take the vote on account and close shop. We should not continue with any business here, because like Honorable Okujeto said, and rightly so, Ghanaians have voted for the resetting agenda of Nkoko Nkiti. So, not only that, Mr. Speaker, apart from the vote and proceedings and maybe his end of service benefits that he's very much interested in, every other thing, social protection bill, second reading of bills, third reading, so that we have enough time to do Article 71 business and do vote on account, such that, yes, if it is not worth doing, it's not worth doing. Please. So we have agreed on resetting. Let's close shop on everything. Do those that are interested in that will further his own personal interest, and close shop. Thank you.
Honorable members, we don't need to debate this matter. I've guided the House because I know what happened at the end of 2000, and I know what happened at the end of 2008. I know what happened at the end of 2016. I know the statements that incoming governments made and the outgoing government. And we are following those good practices. And so before I gave the proposals in my statement, leadership had a bite on it. Where they agree, I captured it. Where they disagreed, I eliminated it. So I just simply said, the items are captured in my statement, sequence them so that we can handle them, because I thought the number one priority is the expenditure in advance of appropriation. In fact, I was told that we will start it today. I'm aware that a request was also made for the Public Accounts Committee reports because of the nature of those reports. And so I captured those things for our consideration. Beyond that, that not for the determination of the 8th Parliament. Then the 9th Parliament will come to continue if the new government considers it necessary to proceed with. So let's take to this agenda and let's get some business done. Please. That will be my focus. Yes, Minority Chief Whip.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity. Just to add that, Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Leader of the House suggested we sit on Saturday. Mr. Speaker, that is totally rejected. There's no reason for us to sit on Saturday. Mr. Speaker, on 2 occasions, his side dragged us out of our constituencies to this house to do what he described as urgent business, which is not different from what is placed here. He refused to even come and do his own business. Now that you have called us under normal circumstances, he's asking us to add another day, a Saturday. Mr. Speaker, what is the justification? And that is why I adopt the position by the former running mate of New Patriotic Party, my own friend, Honorable Dr. Opoku Prempeh, who says that we should take the businesses that are urgent, that is appropriation in advance expenditure in advance of appropriation, and those items that are time-bound. And then we call it a day. The new government comes and decide what priorities are. Then we do them, Mr. Speaker. So I think, Leader, we beg you. I know you have a tough job, but to assume that we can do, you know it yourself, we cannot start any bill now. We've never even done it before. It is just not, and I would encourage you. The atmosphere in the House today appears to be cordial. I entreat you to entrench the peaceful nature of this House towards Friday. Any attempt to do other things may not be good. And you also said the whips should do something about welfare. Leader, you have the key to addressing the welfare issues of this House. I have no control over the finance minister. I have no control over the common fund administrator. You can do that. I don't even know the last time I saw the how do you call it, the common fund administrator. All I know is that during the campaign, candidates of a particular party receive a lot of goodies from common fund. It's not from her. It's not from her. Okay. Honorable Dr. Poku Prempeh said that it's not from her. I just said, I didn't mention any name. I said they receive goodies. One particular party received goodies that appear to be goods from common fund. But if it's not from her, fine. But the only people who can cause the common fund administrator to disburse to the assemblies, the only person who can cause the common fund administrator to fulfill her mandate as in the Constitution is you, not our side. But if he fails, maybe we would advise ourselves. So there is no shifting of responsibility. You have the opportunity. I've seen people call you majority leader today. Lift your the expectation. We have 5 days to prove you are majority leader. Otherwise, we take it from you. I will reserve other comments.
Honorable members, we are on the business statement. Yes, Chairman, Business Committee, and Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, these items that have been listed on the business statement have not suddenly arisen. They are not matters that have suddenly arisen. They have been with us. In the spirit of continuity in governance, in the spirit of a certain novel precedence to guide tomorrow, I want to encourage my colleagues to cooperate with government to do this key government business. For instance, Mr. Speaker, my respected colleague Ablakwa of Norton stated that the incoming government intends to reduce taxes and deal with obnoxious the tax regime we have, according to him. If that were to be so, why will this same incoming government reject the 1D1F, which is giving an incentive? Because we don't want too many imposition of taxes on corporate Ghana. What this tax is doing, is to take away the taxes. You say that you are going to repeal taxes. We are giving an incentive. You say no.
Honorable Majority Leader, business statement.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, I'm responding to the consensus.
No, we are not debating the subject matter. We are looking at the business statement and the items.
So, Mr. Speaker, what I'm saying is that I did not just come up with these. We sat at the committee. It's a collective decision to bring this proposal. Mr. Speaker, they should know that they are coming into government too. This opposition posture, you better change. I mean, you are no more in opposition. You better stop that your behavior. You should change your behavior. We should see signs of your readiness to govern and stop this violence, chaotic, bugaga thing. Stop. You are
Honorable members, please. We are not just in a conversation. We are in a parliament and we have rules. These items found space on the order paper because they are pending business. And so if you look at the standing orders, you have to keep on capturing them on the standing orders because they are business before the House. They were earlier on admitted by the Speaker. They were presented to the House. They are before us and they are not completed. So they will always find space on the standard, in the order paper. But I have stated clearly that in view of the limitation of time and the season, we will not do justice to this business if we decide to take them now. As a result of that, we should take just a few key items that can keep the wheel of governance going and the public interest attended to. And that is why I mentioned those items, particularly as they've been agreed to by both sides of the House. And so let's take to that. The others, there will be no time to consider them if we really want to do good business for the people of Ghana. Please, let's move on. There are other things that I want to inform you. But yes, Minority Leader.
Right Honorable Speaker, let me also comment on the business statement. The Speaker, this morning I made it clear to my colleague, the Honorable Afenyo Markin, that it would be wrong for an outgoing government to commit an incoming government to millions of US dollars, which will be a fiscal strain on the next budget. The Speaker, I said this on the backdrop that before us, they are proposing to buy ships worth 140 million euros at this time. Mr. Speaker, it is very wrong for a government that is leaving office in 3 weeks, to commit 140 million euros. Mr. Speaker, if it is extremely important for the state, allow the new government to commit them. Right, Honorable Speaker, the tax exemptions before us, if approved, will have a fiscal burden in the next budget. So you are saying that the next government should carry your burden of $350 million? Mr. Speaker, no way. No way. It's not going to happen. Right, Honorable Speaker, as we speak, there is no 2025 budget. Activities before us cannot commit to the 2025 budget. You don't know the priorities of the next government. Look, I reviewed the Hansard before coming here. The Honorable Chairman Bosu is a precedent to me. Okay, it's authority on this matter. In 2016, what he said to us, and it is for that reason why today we were not able to take the loan for Dam and Go Water. I brought Dam and Go Water before us. They said to us that you cannot commit the next government, and if it is urgent or important, allow the next government to take it. So, Mr. Speaker, issues that will commit this country, as long as our budget is concerned, Mr. Speaker, I beg to say that let us leave it for the next administration to handle. But there are other low-hanging fruits here, like the Environmental Protection Agency bill. It is only, we finished the bill, we have left with only the third reading. So, Speaker, that one, if you want to do it, you can do it. If you don't want it, the next minister responsible for environment will come and do it. But anything else, Mr. Speaker, it won't happen. It will not happen. Thank you.
Hello. Is that the Minister for Defense?
Yes, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, I just want to be clear that to take a commercial loan and for Ghana and the IMF to agree only simply means that there must be special reasons why the IMF will agree for Ghana to take a commercial loan. And he knows that it was the IMF itself that had to agree to open up the space for Ghana to be able to take this because Ghana does not have aircraft and ship. It doesn't have aircraft and ship for our military. I don't have a problem with the next administration dealing with it. But when there is an opportunity to do it and you don't do it, that is up to them to be able to do it. I don't have a problem at all. And I just told him that at all, that we don't have a problem. I am saying that you have opportunity to purchase 2 ships from France for the Ghana Navy. If you think that you cannot do it now, Mr. Speaker, you wait and do it when the government comes. We don't have that problem. The new government comes. Nobody has that problem at all. I don't have a problem at all. If the IMF will agree and open for them to borrow next year, I don't have a problem at all with that. And so I will defer to them, Mr. Speaker, for them, because it leaves the burden of some of us to be able to do that. And the military know that they have been chasing this for 3 years. They've had an opportunity to do it, and they are those who purchase it. It's not this government. So if they think that they cannot do it, they have to wait and start all over again. Good luck to them, Mr. Speaker. We should hold on, we should not do it, and good luck to them. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Deputy Minority Whip.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, clearly, I think there's a need for this House either to schedule a joint caucus meeting. Mr. Speaker, most of the issues that are being discussed here are not, including even the security issues, are not good for public consumption. Mr. Speaker, it's for a good reason that on issues like this, the House will go into a joint caucus meeting for us to convince each other and know which way to go. Well, if I listen to the kind of discussions that we are having, Mr. Speaker, it doesn't inure to the benefit of Mother Ghana. Therefore, I would advise to schedule a joint caucus meeting along the line so that we can speak across purposes and agree on which way to go. My humble submission, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Member for Ho Central.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to call upon the Majority Leader to reconvene a meeting of the Business Committee so that they will take account of the guidance that you have given. You see, this order paper, today's has a lot of items to be taken. And it's wasting a lot of paper. It's wasting a lot of paper. So if they take a cue from the guidance that you have given and redraw the business statement, then we will not have such copious items on the order paper to be taken every day. In consequence, you will find out that whatever limited business we have to do, we can take 2-3 days and finish it. Then we don't even have to wait till Friday before we adjourn. So my humble submission to the Majority Leader is that he should reconvene a business committee meeting to redraw the business statement, taking account of your guidance and all that colleagues have said today on the floor. I thank you.
Yes, Honorable Member for Tamale North. Oh, sorry.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to the business statement that has been ably presented by the Majority Leader. Mr. Speaker, I will not wish to take part in the ongoing conversation on the other matters. I just want to crave your indulgence and make an appeal, Mr. Speaker, to you and the Business Committee to perhaps consider, even though the time is so short, space for a security briefing on the elections that has just taken place. Mr. Speaker, this government may not have the opportunity again to speak to this nation on how well or not they have handled security, especially in relation to the just ended elections. Mr. Speaker, I think this is important because loss of lives during elections should not become a norm. Our elections should not always record the loss of Ghanaian lives. Mr. Speaker, it's becoming one too many. The first time we recorded this was in the 2020 general elections, where about 6 to 7 lives were lost after the elections. 7 to 8 lives. Mr. Speaker, just this election that has gone by, we are told of about 2 or 3 lives that have been lost. Mr. Speaker, indeed, as we speak, a family in Tolong, in Yankpala, is preparing for a funeral tomorrow with about 15 others nursing various degrees of injuries. Mr. Speaker, that cannot be accepted without us taking measures and proper briefing on what might have gone wrong. And so, Mr. Speaker, even though we do not have time, I will plead that the Business Committee considers a briefing to this House by either the Defense Minister or the Interior Minister or whoever was responsible for the provision of security in the just ended elections, so that the incoming government perhaps can take a cue and assure us that never again, after these two incidents, will we record loss of lives again during our elections. Mr. Speaker, it is my humble appeal to you and the Business Committee to consider. Thank you.
Honorable members, yes, Dr. Opoku Prempeh.
Thank you.
Before the Minister for Defense.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, you ably and aptly described the agenda that has been agreed between the two leaders. Probably what we didn't do was to say that it is a restated business statement for the rest of the week. But we have gone round and round and round, and we are coming back with a consensus to say maybe the leadership should meet urgently and consider things that the two sides can agree so that we go on. Mr. Speaker, I also don't believe that we are going to sit here and pick and choose. If we are not going to, and we are left with only one or two items, let's do those one or two items and leave the incoming government with a free hand to operate as they want. But what has been agreed, vote on expenditure for the first quarter of next year and other matters that we all agree to. Let's do that, and we can rise in 2-3 days. I don't believe personally that we should go about doing first reading of the bill, second reading of the bill, third reading of the bill, because it all has implications on the fiscal balance of the country. There's not a single bill here that doesn't have got a cost implication for government. So let's leave it to them and let them inherit all the goodness of what we're trying to do and let them bring in all the badness that they are bringing so that Ghanaians will know the difference. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Minister for Defense.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, I just want to support the position that, look, the business committee has met. We have never had a situation where the business committee has met and we have done everything. What we can do within the next 4 days, Mr. Speaker, let's do it. What is not possible, because if the two leaders or the leadership agree on what is possible, let's do it and move on. But Mr. Speaker, I want to respond to what my colleague said. We as a country agreed from 2008 that ministers of state, government functionaries, including the MMDs, so municipal chief executives, the DCEs, ministers of state, government officials, members of parliament cannot and should not be in charge of security when it comes to election matters. It should be left to the purview of the security services led by the police. So at the national level, it is the Inspector General of Police who is in charge of the security, the committee that oversees the security when it comes to election purposes. And at the regional level, it is the regional police commander who is in charge of it. And at district level, it is the district police commander who is in charge of it. And so that's how it is. There's an election committee at the national, at the regional, and at the district. If you are calling the Minister for Interior, he would just simply come and tell you he was not in charge of it. It's the IGP. If you call any other person, whether it's Defense or Interior or any of the ministers, they would just be there. They will have no answers, because at the day of before elections, the election and after election, is the security people who were in charge, led by the Inspector General of Police. And so if the Speaker thinks, or the House thinks that they want to call the election security to come and brief this House, it cannot be members of, it cannot be ministers or government appointees, because they have no role. And in fact, it was good. It's good that the executive were not in charge of security. It's always been like that, because you cannot be a judge of your own court. It's wrong. And so that's why if you are calling somebody, it can only be the IGP and his team that will come and then you decide what happens. But I can say the records does not speak, or the record does not support your position that it was just 2020 and 2024 that people died out of election. I can tell you 2004 in Tolong, in Kumbungu, go and find out, and several other places, people lost their lives. But, Mr. Speaker, it's the decision of this House. If they want to call them, we can discuss these things. But just like somebody hinted, some of these discussions, it helps when we first do a committee of the whole, and after that, if we decide that there are some things that we want to talk to the public about, we can talk to the public about. I don't have any problem. If it's a public debate we want to do, we'll be willing to do a public debate on anything, anywhere, anytime, and any place. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, could we now proceed to adopt the report? But let me once again reiterate to all of you, particularly those of you who, as members of parliament, are given the opportunity to be ministers of state, together with the leader of government business. The Speaker presides over the business of the House. At least, even if not captured by our rules, the Speaker should have pre-knowledge of the business coming before the House. You don't bring business to the House and the Speaker gets to know of the business just on the order paper. How are you going to manage the debate on the business? These things we are talking about concerning the agreement between the Republic of Ghana and the military, I'm just seeing them on the order paper. I have no document, I have no briefing, I have nothing. And I'm expected by our rules to be the one admitting the business and the business being referred to the business committee to deliberate upon and schedule for the consideration of the House. I've told you a number of times that please don't try to shortchange the Speaker's role in this matter. It's very important because sometimes when you are having this debate, the Speaker is able to intervene to also draw attention to the national interest. And sometimes the Speaker prevails in doing that and is able to convince both sides of the House to adopt the business. But if the Speaker has no knowledge, there's nothing you can do. But I really had discussion with the leaders. And I also took note of what has happened in previous years. And that is why I guided the House as to the essential items, in fact, the critical items that we should consider within this week. In fact, I proposed the Saturday for us to sit, because I thought that by Friday we might not have completed these items. So I added Saturday. If need be, we should sit on Saturday to make sure that we complete them. Because after Saturday, we're going into the Christmas recess. In fact, Christmas break. And then by the time you return, it's around 28th. And you have some business around 28th, 29th, 30th, 31st, where you start making the necessary preparations for the transition. By our new standing orders, there are a number of things we have to do, including the government of the day, to pave way for the new government to take over. And so all this have been factored into the presentation I made. Once again, I want to urge you to be guided by that presentation. As we sit, we have the presidential transition team, the technical team, working on the details of the transition. We have in the law, that is Act 845, the functions of the team. And there are some things that they have to do. And we in this House have a role to play. If you go through Section 2 of the Act, clearly stated there at 2C, the functions of the team are, and you include 2C, to ensure that the salaries, allowances, facilities, privileges, and the retiring benefits or awards are determined, Roman 1, by the President under Clause 1 of Article 71, and Roman 2 by Parliament under Clause 2 of Article 71, and which are due to the holders of the offices specified in Article 71 of the Constitution, are paid or accorded to those persons without undue delay. So we have a lot of work to do around that time. We know we are all agreed that there's a need for reforms. But until the reforms, these are end. And this involves a lot of public officials, not politicians, a lot of public officials who actually take what we call gratuity, not ex gratia, gratuity. So we need to find space for this. And I will propose that leaders to focus on that and put in place a committee in readiness to receive the report. I was expecting to get a copy of the report today. Unfortunately, it hasn't yet gotten to the destination. I haven't received anything like that. And so we want this House to have a dedicated committee or to constitute itself in the committee of the whole, so that immediately it arrives, you are able to go into the details and to present a report for the approval of the House. And that deals with the conditions of service for the executive and the judiciary. And so please, members, let's take note of that. We don't have the pleasure of time, and we need to hurry up on these critical matters, finish them before the end of this month, and then we can now pave the way to transit, because the intention is for the next Parliament to be sworn in not just on the 7th, but we are proposing, and it is stated in the law, the Presidential Transition Act 2012, that the election of the next speaker be done 2 days to the end of the term of the Parliament. And so that you don't have to be doing elections on the 7th of the speaker. It will be like with swearing in of the speaker, who will now swear in the members, including the deputy speakers. And that will give a very seamless transition for the House to move to swear in the president on the same day. So that our illustrious luminaries, the guests that we invite from other countries, don't come and spend the whole day waiting for us to banter over who is speaker, elected speaker on the floor of the House. So we are finding space for all this. So we don't have the leisure of time to be going back to consider very substantive, controversial matters. Please, let's have faith in each other and allow the governance as a continuum to lead us to develop our nation. I think this will be my last appeal, and I will not entertain anybody taking us backwards. So please, table office, tomorrow's order paper, make sure that you do the right thing by eliminating all this very heavy business load on the House, because we will not be able to do them. We should not keep on deceiving the public that these are before the House. On the issue of the Constitution Amendment Bill, that is very dear to my heart. But there were serious objections that were raised by the current government, and in the discussion with leadership, there was no agreement. And so we decided that since we all agree that it's important to make some constitutional reforms, why not let's carry it along to the next government for it to be comprehensively taken through with the rest. If the need be for it to be taken earlier, it will be done within the first quarter of next year. So that was the understanding. So I had to remove that from my priority list and to allow the social protection bill, because, again, the leaders drew my attention to some benefits that will inure to the country. And it's not a controversial bill that we could take it through as quickly as possible. That is why it's been added to the list of priorities. So please, let's go on with that. With this, I proceed to put the question. Those in favor of the adoption of the report of the Business Committee as revised by members. Yes, Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, with respect, we've discussed and expressed opinions. My humble suggestion is that we should adopt the report subject to the issues raised so that, Mr. Speaker, we come back to the House. I mean, the adoption of the report is not a finality. So, as revised, because we have not given specific amendment to it. And we agreed as a House. And I'm surprised that the Minority Leader coming to the floor to again raise an objection on a matter that by consensus we've agreed. But that is politics, Mr. Speaker. An impression is being created as if these items are new items that have suddenly arisen. It is not the case. But it's okay, I'll rest my case.
Majority Leader, it's not fair. You know your colleague Minority Leader is not here. But both of you sat with me on this matter. Yes, and you never agreed. He's not there. Now you got up to say you agreed, and you are trying to talk about at the Business Committee level. I wasn't present there. The meeting I was present was me and the two of you. You did not even allow your colleagues in leadership to be part of that discussion. And you disagreed. So you don't get up to paint a picture as if he's reneging on something he has agreed to earlier on. That's not fair.
Right, Mr. Speaker, I don't want to debate this matter, but Mr. Speaker, we had a business committee meeting. And I have signed a business committee report. Mr. Speaker, for me, if members have new issues to deal with, we can deal with them. But let us adopt the report without any condition. And then we can take other matters up. That's what I want to suggest to the House.
Yes, honorable members, do we have to keep on debating this matter? Yes, okay.
Speaker, truly, the Honorable Minority Leader, when he got to the Business Committee meeting, the Honorable Majority Leader was not there. So it is not like the two of them met at the Business Committee meeting. Leader, clear that. Secondly, the Business Committee meeting was supposed to be started at 9. The Honorable Majority Leader sent a message that they should send it to 10 a.m. By the time the Honorable Majority Atufosin got there, Leader, you had convened the meeting and closed the meeting and left. When he got there, he disagreed and wanted the meeting to be reconvened because you misled him with the time. So if you come here and you are now painting him as if he went to the meeting and agreed with you, only to come here and have a change of mind, you are not being fair to him. For Christ's sake, Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Minority Leader Addo was clear at the meeting. He said he wanted clarity. We should select the items to be agreed upon before coming here. And you prevail upon that when he gets here, he can express his opinion. He has come to do say, and you are painting him black. So which is which? So clearly, Mr. Speaker, we should go by the path that you are chartering to, and I think it's the best way to go. As expenditure in appropriation, you go and say that, oh, and these people don't want workers to be paid. Let's prioritize that. When we finish that and there's something to be done, that one will be up to us.
Honorable Ayarga.
Speaker, I think that we all know that whatever is contained in the report constitute proposals to us as a House to accept or reject. The proposals were made. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, you drew attention to the fact that given the time at our disposal, we will not be able realistically to cover all the items that are being proposed. And you suggested that we prioritize certain items. Members raised issues, rejected some items contained in the proposal. You have put it to a vote, and he is saying that we should accept everything. When members are very clear that certain items contained in the proposals are not acceptable to them. If you don't accept a revised proposal, this side is likely to vote against it. And if we vote against it, then there will be a problem. So please accept a revised proposal as indicated by the Speaker so that we can move on. Please. We raised issues about the tax exemptions. We've raised issues about the bills. In fact, your own side is even against some of the proposals and saying that let's deal with the expenditure items for the first quarter of next year. And then we close. So there's clearly no consensus on all the items contained in the proposal. That is why we should accept the Speaker's proposal that let's adopt a revised business statement report. And then we can move on.
So, Majority Leader, you want me to put the question without the word revised? I'll just put the question. Those who are in favor of the adoption of the report, then they vote.
Mr. Speaker.
Yes, please.
Mr. Speaker, let me make this important point. Then we can draw the curtain on this matter. Mr. Speaker, the practice in a parliament is for government business to be tabled on the floor, views expressed, and a vote taken. Mr. Speaker, these items have been business of government since some have been on the business state or border paper since 2022. Some have been on the order paper since May. Mr. Speaker, what is their problem? If you say you are opposed to it, so be it. Let us come with the motion. You have your 137. Your 137 will say no. Our 138, if we have it, we vote for it. Two, Mr. Speaker, on the judges, the committee is done with its report. You participated. The report is supposed to be laid. If you are against it, that is your principled position. But you cannot say that government business, because you merely disagree, we should not list it on the order paper, or that it should not be a matter for business committee to consider. We will be setting a bad precedent for democracy. We will be setting a bad precedent for democracy where members will say that because they disagree, they will vote against a business statement to say that we agree for this item to be on the business statement. We don't agree for this. What you do is to wait to express your opinion. And when you express your opinion, if at the end of the day your opinion carries a day, so be it. But Mr. Speaker, what they are introducing is very unknown to our democracy. Very unknown. And I want to accept that. We should not set a bad precedent because...
Honorable Majority Leader,
Yes,
please,
Mr. Speaker.
please resume your seat.
Thank you.
We have been confronted with these things before. It's not the first time. Go and read the Hansard of 2000. You come across a similar challenge that faced the House. That time, I was chairman of the Committee on Constitutional, Legal, and Parliamentary Affairs. His Excellency, the President, was a ranking member. Go and read it. The same issue of nomination of judges to the Supreme Court came up. And there was serious objection by the minority then. And the then government had to drop those nominees. Go and read the Hansard. And the reason that were adduced, led by His Excellency the President at that time, they are there. So don't create the impression that this is the first time such a challenge is facing the House. If there's a need for us to improve upon it, and I believe there's always a need to improve on these things, okay, let's say so, and let's go on it. But I gave you a reason that these matters are so important that we need time to consider them well. If you wanted to always sit till midnight or the next day, I'm available. Luckily, I'm very healthy now. You know, I can sit through. Be prepared. But let's do a good job to make sure that the decisions we take will be to the benefit of Ghana and Ghanaians. That's most important. Not just rush through them and then maybe further aggravate the economic or social situation in the country. That's my worry. We have spent the whole day today not doing much. I don't know what will happen tomorrow. But I'll put the question. If I put the question as you have requested, I'm trying to look at your numbers. Because sometimes I have to save you from embarrassment. I have to look at your numbers and look at their numbers to see whether you are likely to win or lose. You are to adopt the business statement. I have to put the question. To adopt. Yes, go on. We should check the rules.
The Speaker.
Yes.
The Speaker, the business committee report has been submitted, and issues have been raised. Some issues have been raised. Some of them legitimate with respect to the time available to the House for doing justice to some of these matters. On the other hand, Mr. Speaker, the matter being raised by the majority leader is also legitimate in the sense that if a paper is to be presented to the House and a decision is taken that no, will not allow you to introduce the paper to the House, it means that technically you are saying that you don't allow government business to come to the House. And that will be a dangerous precedent. I mean, technically. Also, for the Speaker, you're giving a very useful guidance as to going forward, what should be done. The Speaker, it is useful. However, we must also be careful. Is it the case that a Speaker would say that I will allow this government business, I will not allow this government business? So even though I see a lot of sense in what the Speaker is doing, we must also look at the technical implications. I think that we have these matters before us. Admittedly, it's not everything that we can deal with. So we adopt the report and we consider those matters that have come before us. We get to first reading is just rising and bowing, but we can't transact business on it. Like the second reading and so on and so forth. Because when you do the first reading, you now have to refer the matter to the appropriate committee to go and consider and report to the House. Do we have the luxury of time? We may not have that luxury of time, which then goes to what direction the Speaker is giving us, that let's look at all these implications. So we become very pragmatic in the consideration of these matters. So I'm saying that time certainly will not allow us to deal with all these before us. I agree. But when it is advertised for a paper to be presented and the indication is that no, will not allow this paper to be presented, that also has its own connotation, which in my view will not be good for the image of the House. But we must be pragmatic. What can we deal with? What can we not deal with? The Speaker has offered some suggestions. Going forward, we look at what to do, what we can do, and what we cannot do. As simple as that. Which is why the leader is saying that, okay, let's adopt the report. However, we must take into consideration the various suggestions that come from the floor, that have come from the floor. Then we move on. So that is my consideration of the matter.
Yes, Honorable Adaria.
Speaker, Mr. Speaker, it is already known to us in this House that this meeting took place without the participation of our leader. That became obvious when Honorable Ahmed took the floor. He indicated that our side did not participate because they were misled regarding the timing of the meeting. This is a very serious matter. And you have given further guidance. Indeed, I think that the proper thing to do is to adjourn and direct them to go and meet again tomorrow morning, both sides, agree on a common agenda, and bring back to us. Because we will not approve an agenda that is entirely orchestrated by one side. Mr. Speaker, it is obvious. He did not dispute the fact that Honorable Addo did not participate in the meeting. He did not also refute the fact that Honorable Addo asked for clarity in relation to exactly what should constitute the agenda. So clearly, this is not an agenda that was agreed upon by